All right, guys, we have a great guest on the show today, Jake Worrell. He is the president and director of Iron Impact, and this is a non-for-profit organization that is building a strong foundation in young athletes through the gospel of Jesus Christ that focuses on character and community. So it's a really great organization, young on in its development, but doing a lot of good in the community. And another cool fact about Jake is I actually went to college with him back in the day at Indiana Wesleyan University.
Oh,
So, Jake, welcome to the show, man.
hey, Chris, I appreciate it, man. It's fun to get back with old friends and reconnect
Yeah.
and see how everyone's doing. And I appreciate you reaching out, and I love what you're doing here, and I'm excited to be on the show with you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we were just talking before we were recording just how it's cool to see how everybody we known
Yeah.
doing different things and building different things. And so, yeah,
Yep.
it's really awesome to be able to reconnect and share this with everybody who's listening. So we're just going to jump right in. So Iron Impact, kind of give us your description. I know I kind of
Yeah.
introduced it, but like, what do you tell people Iron Impact is?
Yeah. So you did a great job as far as introduction to it, and you pretty much hit the nail on the head. But
Okay.
um, really, the vision, I had an overall vision of Iron Impact is to see all athletes of all ages impacted through Jesus Christ. So we've taken a model of the gospel and have driven it into youth sports organizations here in St. Louis in the Metro Illinois area. So
Okay.
we've had an amazing opportunity to be able to start in an organization that I've worked for in the past. It's called the Gators Baseball Academy.
Okay.
They've loved what I have started, and they do a tremendous job as just far as developing these kids on the field. But they want to see it go deeper than that as far as just developing these kids off the field and jumping into their character and getting them involved in the community and working on some leadership qualities. So that's kind of how I explain it a little bit. It's very similar to a model of FCA,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
big impact on my life. But yeah, so it's to see athletes of all ages impacted through Jesus Christ.
And for those who don't know, FCA is the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So it's an
That's correct.
organization, that reaches out to athletes based on Christian principles. So that's awesome.
Yep.
So you said all ages. Is there a specific age you kind of started with, or did you literally start at all ages?
Yeah. So that was tough. So we kind of break it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We depending on when we have our meeting sessions, we kind of get a little bit more specific as far as the age group goes.
Gotcha.
Obviously, it would be tough if we had 7 and 8-year-olds in a group with 14 to 15-year-olds.
Right. Yeah.
So when we meet weekly, we meet every week, and we call them our fellowship group, and we
Awesome.
usually meet between ages of about 10 to 11 all the way up to about 16 to 17-year-olds. So our high school groups. We've seen that that's a pretty good mesh, just as far as getting older kids and younger kids together and working on those relationships and things that those age group of kids are struggling with. And then we're going to start here probably at the beginning of the year, getting the smaller age group of kids together and just limiting that age group to about, because the age of the teams go down to like 7U. So we'll probably
Okay.
do like 7 to 9-year-olds. And that'll be just very surface level stuff, because I haven't really come across a 7 or 8-year-old kid that's been struggling with certain things, but they may be out there, but
Right.
that'll be a little bit more surface level stuff and just kind of getting a little bit more involved in the organization and just slowly start presenting the gospel to them.
That's awesome, man. That's such a cool kind of mission and
Yeah.
field to be in. That's really that's awesome to see. And I can't wait
Yep.
to see how that grows and how it
Yep.
impacts even more people. So now, is there anything that kind of like, I guess, I mean, you being a baseball player in college and everything, is that
Yeah.
kind of what led you, or is there other things that kind of pushed you towards creating this program?
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, FCA had such a big impact in my
Yeah.
life, and I was always involved with it at such a young age. Um, and I kind of wanted just to start something on my own. I
Okay.
wanted to, even though we have overall our mission is the same mission as FCA. We just want to impact kids to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and as long as we uh, are doing our thing and trying to impact as many lives as possible. I just wanted to go out and do my own thing,
That's cool.
and try to start something on my own. I felt my whole life, not my whole life, but a decent portion of my life, I felt like I was running away from what God was really trying to show me.
Mm.
And it wasn't, I didn't realize that till probably closer to the end of my college career. Um, I think the reason why is I just wasn't super comfortable in my faith, and I was like, well, that's not right. If I'm taking this faith and religious thing in Christianity seriously, it's got to be more than just surface level.
Yeah.
It is a daily, as you know, it's a daily grind to pursue a relationship with Jesus Christ, and um, FCA played a big role in that again. And as growing up, I was able to build this firm foundation with Jesus Christ through that ministry. And I was like, well, I don't want these kids at this age that are successful at sports, their identity is in sports, to not be presented with this gospel of Jesus Christ. So slowly but surely have started to get it rolling, and the Gators have been tremendous organization to let us come in and started with them. But the overall goal would be to be in every youth or high school sports organization here in St. Louis. So
That's awesome.
but yeah, so that's kind of how it got started here a little bit, or how it's impacted me. Is I just don't want to see an opportunity slip away where, as believers, we're called to spread his light.
For
And
sure.
I just feel like that I have an opportunity to do that with these young athletes. So
That's awesome, man. And that's such a good, I mean, that's why we're here, like you said, and to spread that into the
yep,
younger generation especially is, I think, super important.
yep.
Um, so why, I mean, yes, it is important, but why is it so important to you to touch the younger generation?
um because I think just touching that younger, man, it's just so hard.
Mm,
These kids have it so much harder than what we had when we were that age, and it's just getting harder. And it's so hard to see the way our world is going, and to slowly see that younger generation just kind of being taken over by it a little bit.
mm,
And I think it's just super important just to grab those kids at such a young age and at least present it to them, whether they accept it or not. At least they have the opportunity to see the light, and to see guys like me or my board members who are
mm,
heavily involved as well, to see these guys that 25 to 30 years old that still have an awesome relationship and still grow every day with Jesus Christ, to see if they wanted to come on board and see what it's all about. So I think I wanted to get to that younger group just because I've seen what the world is, and it's a nasty place, and I want to do whatever I can uh, to have them see the light a little
yeah.
bit.
And I
So
think, I mean, that's such a good goal because, I mean, they're the future, really. I mean, and
exactly,
so if they don't
yeah,
have a good foundation, if they,
yeah,
like you said, the world's hard and it's just getting rougher out there. Like if they don't have that foundation, then the future looks even more grim. And so, yeah, being able
yep,
to really reach out to those kids and really show them a positive path to take, I think is
yeah,
huge and so important just for the future of the world.
yeah, 100%. And I think whatever profession they go in, a lot of these kids just have an aspiration to be professional athletes
Mm,
or just be successful in whatever they're going to be, but just having Jesus Christ along your side as well as going through all those things, I feel like just makes it so much easier.
right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's that life is not easy, but it definitely helps
Yeah.
for you to be grounded in your faith on a daily basis and just try to fight as you go on throughout your day and um, but yeah, so that's kind of what we do a little bit. There's a lot more I'd love to get into detail on what we do, but that's a little bit of what we do for sure.
Yeah. And that's all because like you said, look, the world's getting harder. It's like, so what do you see from dealing with these younger uh kids, I mean teenagers,
Yeah.
what do you see now that they have to deal with that makes everything so much more difficult?
Oh man, we so and yeah, I'll jump into that. But one of the
Yeah.
things I mentioned, we do fellowship groups, and
Mm-hmm.
the first month me and my board members did our testimonies just to get these kids a little bit more comfortable with us. And then the next month we jumped into social media, and I think
Mm,
that was probably the hardest one that these kids deal with
I'm sure.
because it is. I mean, social media when we were in high school and college, I think was just trying to get going, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
just taken over.
Yeah.
And all these kids, I mean, we got 10, 11-year olds in our sessions, and they got cell phones and they got all of the social media apps. So
Jeez.
it's just we went through social media for the whole month, and we talked about um the good things about social media, the bad things about social media, and we tried to do a social media challenge on see how long we could not be on social media and
Hmm.
how you felt, and just
Right.
try to get the kids to think about, hey, there's more than just being on your phone 24/7 and being on these apps, and get
Yeah.
outside and play and just be a kid. I just feel like it has really, and there's some great things about social media.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not trying to rag on it, but um, it's definitely taken over, and it's extremely scary.
Mm-hmm.
The direction it is going, and the amount of screen time that these kids have, because ultimately that's taking them away from getting into the Word.
Yep.
Um, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was probably the hardest one so far. Is just having to deal with that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Social media, I mean, definitely has its positives, but man, the negatives are so strong there with just, you hear about the online bullying, the
Yes.
everything that just comes with it. And it's really sad to
Yep.
see. But again, people like you reaching out to these kids with these programs to really try to get a hold of them and just help them understand uh,
Yep.
is so awesome. And um, I guess because you started in March, right?
Yeah.
2019.
March, April. Yep. Of this
Okay.
year. Yep.
So, um, so it's been a little while. Have you any stories? Have you seen any sort of change in your community already? Any impacts from this?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll give you a little short story
Yeah.
from a couple parents that pretty much have said the same thing. It's just pretty. It's just a good reminder and a good kind of reward as to what we're doing. So the first month we probably had like 11 to 12 kids within the organization come to our fellowship group. So it's a small group, and which is okay.
Yeah.
But we would bring our Bibles, obviously, or our Bible app, and we
Mm-hmm.
pull up verses and start reading. And one night, the dad reached out to me after our first month. He called me and he said his son came home after one of the fellowship groups, and he said, "Hey, Dad, can I download the Bible app on my phone, or can I get a Bible?" And the dad literally broke down and started crying on the phone
Mm.
because he's like, "Dude, I've been trying to do that for like 5 years," and he's like,
Wow.
"You have no idea what that meant to me to hear my son want to do that on his own and not just me forcing him to do it."
Yeah.
He was like, "What you guys are doing is amazing, and I know you guys don't hear it as often as you should, but you are making an impact. So just hearing that and the kind of success story there a little bit, that whether it's one kid at a time, I take that. That's fine with
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a group of 50 kids at a time, but I kind of like the closeness of a smaller group. That way we can get a little bit more deep on conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that from another parent as well, and just hearing that was, and I shared that with my board members, and it was just a really cool experience. So that was probably for sure a success story, and what I've done, what I've made an impact so far, and it's just been great, and all glory to God for sure.
Oh
So
yeah, that's so cool, and I can't wait to be able to hear more success
yeah,
stories like that as you continue to grow, man. That is so cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's
So,
rewarding for sure.
oh, I'm sure. Now, I guess this doesn't really matter, but I'm just curious. Is it a co-ed thing, or is it just guys right now until you get
Yeah,
girl leaders, or?
it's for sure co-ed.
Okay.
We haven't had any so far. This organization has about 50 baseball teams,
Okay.
ranging from those age groups, and
Yeah.
then there's 3 or 4 softball teams. So we haven't quite seen softball yet. I would love to. It'd be awesome to have them
Yeah.
in there, but I've been slowly reaching out to a lot of the coaches,
Okay.
just because they know who we are as far as being involved with the organization, but just really presenting to them what we do and inviting them to our sessions. I haven't hit the softball teams up yet, but hopefully, and I'm slowly starting to learn, because I mean, it's a business.
Right.
It's going to take some time,
Yeah.
and I thought it's kind of a slap in the face. I thought right out the chute I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And, I know a lot of the families within the organization, they're great Christian families, and we're just going to have like 20 to 30 kids every session. But yeah, no, that wasn't the case. So,
Right. Rome wasn't built in
um,
a day, right? So
yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. And my board members thought the same thing. We're like, this is going to be awesome. And then I was like, no. So,
take some time for sure.
yeah, that's right. Take some time, but no, we haven't had girls yet, and we would love to for sure have some. Hopefully here, maybe at the beginning of this next year.
Awesome. Now you say with your sessions, are these like a specific day during the week, or do you do it before or after their practices, or how do you incorporate that?
Yeah, so we're learning as we go. When we first started the session fellowship groups, it was in August, and it was once a week. They're once a week, and it's on
Okay.
Wednesdays, from 6 to 7. Um, and the reason why we were gonna originally go like maybe once or twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
but going back off of my experience involved with close groups like this, I did it every week, and it was just a good accountability, and a good routine just to get into, and something I could look forward to once a week, every week. Just, hey, I know at this time that I'm going to get refreshed, and we're going to be talking in the Bible or talking about Jesus Christ. So it was a good opportunity just to get into a good routine. So we changed it to once a week. And now the kids are getting into what we call winter training here.
Okay.
Um, and so, I mean, it's Monday through Friday, and the place is packed.
Jeez.
The facility is a 30,000 square foot, basically like pole barn.
Okay.
And it's finished on the inside with baseball nets and cages and an infield. Um, so when we meet there on Wednesdays now, because we're getting into winter training, it's there's teams all over the place.
Oh
So
wow.
uh, we may have to change our times a little bit. We may have to go to maybe a weekend or something.
Yeah.
Just depends on, because some of the kids we've consistently had are now starting to have winter training around that
Ah.
time. So either we do a session from 5 to 6 and get one age group of kids, and then get the kids coming out of the last session from 7 to 8 or something like that. So we'll just have to play around with it, but it's for sure once a week on
Cool, man.
Wednesdays. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. So say for maybe people who maybe don't have faith or don't have strong faith, or they do,
Yeah.
but they're just now kind of trying to figure out how to reach these kids or these age group. What are like three things that you would suggest people who want to help this younger generation have a positive mindset, regardless of where they are? Maybe what are three ways that they could reach that generation a little bit easier?
Yeah, like to get them to come to the groups, or
Well,
they're already
just to
at the
help,
groups,
I guess three ways that they can maybe
impact their lives a
impact
little
them
bit.
in a positive way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, because we were kind of learning with that a little bit
Yeah.
when we first started, because we are going to have all different aspects of, this kid's going to be really strong in his faith, this kid's not, this kid's lukewarm.
Mm-hmm.
So we were pretty careful as to not just wanting to smash it down their throats as far
I
as preaching
gotcha.
the gospel. So um, I think for sure just trying to be a little bit more surface level with those kids.
Okay.
Um, and I think we have learned along the way, because we first started out, me and my board members just like pretty much preaching the whole time, and then we'd ask questions. We're like, we need to get the kids a little bit more involved, especially the kids that aren't super strong in their faith. So we've changed our group session around to, we would read a small portion of our context, and then we would jump into a question, and we would talk about that question for 10 or 15 minutes. That way it'd get the kids that aren't super strong in their faith to get out of being uncomfortable and talk about it a little bit. So I think for sure, just asking the right questions,
Okay.
and trying to get them involved, whether it's one word answers, or they got a full sentence,
Right.
or a full paragraph to say.
Yeah.
I think just asking the right questions, easy questions, just to get them to talk.
Okay.
I think that's for sure number one. Number two, I think it's helped that when we do community service, to get those kids out, that are kind of lukewarm in their faith, or just not just hasn't been presented to them, to come out and do community service and serve. Because at the end of each volunteer opportunity we do, we just kind of we just talk about Jesus Christ. So and just surface level stuff, and that way they're there, and they just listen to it, and that way they're getting fed not only from our fellowship groups, but in our community service, and just being, and I think really just trying to get them to talk,
Gotcha.
and just explaining to, just telling them, hey, how you feel like about this, like what are you going through in your life, what's some things that you're struggling with in school. You talk anything about school, man, I feel like that just opens the door wide open, man.
Yeah.
They can just talk about school nonstop. But I think just getting them from being uncomfortable to comfortable.
Okay.
I think that's just asking simple questions, maybe starting pretty surface level on the gospel, and then just kind of rolling from there a little bit. So
Cool. That's
that
awesome.
kid that I told you about, the dad that called me, he was
Yeah.
pretty surface level in his faith, was interested, but obviously he went home and wanted the Bible app and a Bible. So it could be, I had no idea where that kid was in his faith. His
Yeah.
dad kind of explained it to me a little bit, because he was one of the kids that just wouldn't talk a whole lot. But he was more of a little surface level, so it was good to hear that he wanted to do that kind of stuff. So
That's cool.
yeah.
So get them feeling involved, get them kind
Yeah.
of building a community somehow, doing stuff with other
Yeah.
people, and then
Yeah.
kind of get them to open up and feel comfortable
Yeah.
to talk. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, and there's so many kids out there that need that. I know in the school
Yeah.
systems, I hear about it all the time, just rough home lives, or just
Yeah.
their mental states. So
Yeah.
those are good ways that we can help them as well. So
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
cool. Well, we try to end with some kind of different questions that have to go with pencil leadership.
Okay.
And if you don't know what pencil leadership is, you guys can look back into the episode 0 explains that, or on the website, which will be in the description. But the first one, Jake, is basically we only mentor. So have
Yeah.
you had any mentors that really stand out to you
Yeah.
that kind of got you to where you are today?
Yeah. Is it okay if I got a few?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah, for sure. I think growing up would be my dad.
Uh-huh.
I think it was tough. I'll give just a quick little background. So my dad played professional baseball for 12 years as we were growing up. So he was gone a
Yeah.
lot, which had a pretty big impact on my life. But when he retired, he was pretty much full time in our lives, and just kind of making up for lost time a little bit. But what I remember growing up, and I just had a baby 5 months ago. Obviously, he's a little too young
Yeah.
to start doing some devotional stuff. But every morning when we came downstairs before we go to school, my dad was sitting right there with Oswald Chambers, The Utmost for His Highest,
Mm-hmm.
opened up, and he was just reading it to us as we ate breakfast before we went out the door.
That's awesome.
And that hit me pretty hard. Whether I understood, I mean, that book we read that book every day for 10+ years. I think. I mean, we went through it all the time, but whether I wanted to listen to it or not, he was just getting us into a routine.
Yeah.
Whether we wanted to accept it or not, he was getting us into a routine of getting into God's word every day, and strengthening our relationship with him. And I don't think I really understood or took that seriously until I was probably in high school,
Okay.
and really understanding Oswald Chambers. That's a tough book.
Yeah.
There's a lot of deep stuff in
Yep.
there. So I really didn't understand a whole lot of it until I was probably in high school. But my dad, just seeing, because he was really profound in his faith, and just to see, and he definitely used his baseball career as an opportunity to spread God's word. So I think that was a
That's
big
awesome.
thing for me to see. And then when I left high school, obviously I moved out of the house and not seeing my parents a whole lot. And this next one, Coach DeMichael,
Yep. Mm.
at Indiana Wesleyan, the athletic director there, who's won a couple awards for athletic director of the year.
Yep.
Man,
He's
he's
awesome.
representing IWU very, very well.
Oh, yes.
He used to be the baseball coach before I got there. He was transitioned to AD, obviously before my freshman year. But I took an internship with him, and I knew him really well before because he was close to my brothers. But
Mm-hmm.
I took an internship with him a full year, and man, that just not only just to learn what he was doing as his job title, but man, what a servant of Christ he
Yeah.
is. And I learned I think I learned more about faith aspect in Christianity than I did about his job, which was fine.
Hmm.
But man, I learned so much from him, and he made such a big impact on my life. And he was I got married in 2014, and he came from Indiana and spoke at my wedding because
Wow.
he knew Kelsey very well. Kelsey
Yep.
played soccer at Indiana Wesleyan as well. So he played a big role in my life. And then the next one, as I transitioned out of college, I had the amazing opportunity to be in a mentor group with Mike Matheny.
Oh, wow.
And who's now the manager of the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
I had a group of my close friends and his son Tate, and we met every week Monday morning, and he was the one that led us, along with another guy named Mike Hansen. But just to listen to him, because man, he's just full of wisdom. Just being able to listen to him every Monday morning at 6 a.m. just like really just started my week off, man.
That's
Just
awesome.
motivational Monday for sure. But Mike Matheny, and we still see him every once in a while. Obviously, he's super busy now, but
Right.
when he was transitioning between jobs, we met on a weekly basis, and it
That's
was
awesome.
just good to be surrounded with godly men like that, and
Yeah.
learning about leadership, and what it means just to live out faithful life in Jesus Christ. So at least try to as best we can.
Right. That's so cool. Yeah, we definitely, I mean, we can't get anywhere without mentors and coaches for sure.
No,
So the next
no,
one, looking back, we've all gone through ups and downs, hills and
yeah,
valleys. Has there been a really hard time for you that you've went through, but looking back, shaped you and helped you become the man you are today?
yeah, absolutely. I think it happened when I was freshman in college. Two different scenarios that meshed together. So I came into college hurt already.
Mm,
So I actually hurt myself before I hurt my arm. I blew my shoulder out before I think during the summer, or no, it
mm,
was before summer. I think it was I committed late to Indiana Wesleyan, and I committed because my brothers were there,
yep.
so I would have known them. I would build relationships a little better. So I came into college hurt, which was not good. So not
Right.
good. So I came into college hurt. I was on very heavy pain meds because I had a very intensive shoulder surgery,
Yep.
and it got dark quick. I was honestly sleeping more than I was awake.
Mm,
And I just felt like a robot. I woke up in pain. I would go to class, I'd eat lunch, I'd go to physical therapy for 2 hours, I'd come back, and I'd go to sleep. And I
yeah.
did that for almost a whole year. And um, I've never been through that in my life. And it was dark. I felt like a failure.
Mm.
And then I tried my process of trying to come back. And probably another mentor of mine would be Nate Foster. You remember Nate?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Good mentor of mine as well.
yeah, man, he played a big role. And it was just a long road to get back to the game that I love. But I believe that baseball was my identity,
Mm,
which was wrong. And I believe looking back on it, that's why Jesus Christ took it away from me, was because I needed to be recorrected. But then as I made my road back to baseball, um, I started failing a lot, and
mm,
I wasn't used to it.
hmm,
And I didn't know how to accept it, and I didn't know how to move on from failure and try to just search and grind for success a little bit like I had when I was younger. Um, so I just dealt with all this failure, and I believe that it carried over a little bit into after college and into jobs. I transitioned from a few jobs, and I just felt like I was failing again.
mm,
Until I really kind of started this Iron Impact thing, it kind of all works together. But in between the recovery process at Indiana Wesleyan, my sister was going through a rough time, and we weren't able to really be there for her, and she was just trying to figure herself out. So being comboed with this dark place and failure and my sister, those were some tough times.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And just having the people like really my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, um, be there. Guys like Nate Foster, Coach DeMichael, my brother, were able to at least help me through a little bit. And Coach DeMichael played a big role in me just getting through the failure piece,
For
as far
sure.
as coming back for baseball and just life after baseball. So those were probably some of the biggest trials I had,
Yeah.
and it shaped me to who I am today. And I think in that whole process, because it was just so dark that I'd almost given up, just not given up, but it was hard to see the light.
Mm,
And um, God calls us to not only be pursuing Him when things are going good, which not a lot of us do.
right.
Things are going great, but He really wants us to pursue us when things are going bad. And um, I think it's kind of flip flop sometimes, because when things are going bad, that's when we're like, okay, Jesus, we really, really, really need you now. Like,
Right.
I really, really need you. Okay, now things are really good, and I'm up at the mountain. Like, all right, like I'm good now. Like, I
Right.
think I'm in a good spot as far as, and I think I can do it on my own. But no, that's BS. So that's definitely the mindset I had when I was in college. Like I
Right.
was going through this bad stuff, and it's like, all right, Jesus, I really, really, really need you. And I didn't really learn that until, a couple of years ago, that no, we
Hmm.
always really need him when things are going awesome. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, long story short, those are some of the biggest things I think I struggled with that kind of made me who I am today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Learning to deal with failure is a big thing for sure. Because we all do
Huge.
it every now and then. No one's
Yep.
perfect. So
Yep. Absolutely.
that transitions into the next one. It's kind of, so we all make mistakes, obviously, but have you made a mistake that you've kind of really learned from? Maybe change your trajectory of how you're heading or anything like that?
Yeah. And I think I mentioned it just earlier. I think and I regret it for sure.
Hmm.
High school and beginning part of my college, I was running away from what was calling me to do,
Yeah.
or running away from certain scenarios that God wanted me to be a part of, or anything like that, because I was uncomfortable in my faith.
Mm.
And I was lukewarm, not quite surface level, but lukewarm in
Yeah.
my faith. And um, I don't think I understood that. Hey, when you accept this guy named Jesus Christ into your life, it's a daily grind. And I
Hmm.
don't think I understood that, and I was running away because I was uncomfortable, and I did not want to express that Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior. I'd accept it, but if someone came up to me that wasn't a Christian that said, "Hey, you're different. What's going on with you?" I'd probably walk away. And that, which is wrong, because that's an opportunity for you to spread the light to somebody.
For sure. Yeah.
So I for sure regret, and it's definitely a mistake to be that way,
Mm.
to, growing up. But yeah, yep,
That's cool. See how you've learned and how you've changed. Now
yeah,
that's like your mission, which is awesome.
yeah, yep.
So the next one is, what character trait is the biggest thing that you want others to see from you? So something that you don't want to waver from, you don't want to give
Yeah,
into, like it's your solid trait.
yeah. I think just for sure, character.
Yeah,
I think character goes a long way and that could spear off into a couple of different things, but just having just good, firm character, and who you are, and just treating people the right way.
for sure. No, I
Um,
think that's a huge one.
yeah, I think for sure, just character, biggest things that people want to see is just my character for sure.
That's awesome. And then the last one is, so we're all here to leave an impact somehow, leave a
Yeah,
positive mark on the world. So after everything is over for you on Earth,
yeah.
what do you want people to see that you had an impact on, or what mark do you want them to see from your life?
Um, I would love, and I think I'm still trying to. Um, it's a daily grind, but I for sure, if I were to die here
Hmm.
tomorrow,
Right.
I would love for people to say, for the words to come out of their mouth, that dude loved Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, and that dude, was definitely a light,
Hmm.
for anybody, whether they're a
Yeah,
strong relationship with Jesus Christ, or they weren't. But that guy really, uh, shined Jesus Christ's light on this world. And man, that is going to be a daily grind until I go.
right.
You
It
know,
never. Yeah,
yeah, I ain't never going to figure that one out. But I'm going to try my hardest and work my best to make that impact and make sure his light is shown, especially on this generation that's younger than us.
absolutely. That's so cool. That's awesome. And I think you're definitely heading that direction. And you're something, like you said, you'll never have it down pat, but something to always work at and always get better at. And
That's
man, I think
exactly right.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Well, cool. Well, hey, Jake, we really appreciate you being on the show today
Yeah.
and just kind of leaving this knowledge with us and telling us more about what you're doing. So, guys, if you want to check out Iron Impact, more
Yeah.
about Jake and what he's doing, the information for that's in the description below, so you guys can go check it out, follow, and see how that's growing there. Again, Jake, thanks so much for being on the show, man.
Hey, Chris, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem.